Hi class, this is section 4.2 Triangle Angle Sum Theorem. Our learning target for today is that we will be able to find the measures of angles of a triangle. First, I want you to try solving each of these equations. So on the first one, you would combine like terms and then subtract 120 from both sides to get x is equal to 60. On the second one, you would combine like terms and subtract 160 from both sides to get x is equal to 20. The last quick review we're going to do is how many degrees are there in a straight line? The answer is 180. Alright, so starting off our lesson today, we're going to talk about the triangle angle sum theorem. The triangle angle sum theorem says the sum of all three angles in a triangle is 180 degrees. So if I added together angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3, it would always equal 180 anytime we have a triangle. Using this theorem, we're going to find each missing angle. So in our first picture, we have two angles that are equal to 34, and we're trying to find this missing x angle. I want you to always write an equation when you're finding the missing angle. So we have x plus 34 is equal to 180. We combine like terms and subtract 68 from both sides to get x is equal to 112. Next one, we're going to write another equation to solve for x. So we have x plus 84 plus 65 is equal to 180. Remember that the angles have to add up to 180. That's why we have it equal to 180. We combine like terms and subtract 149 from both sides to get x is equal to 31. The next one, we have two x's, but that's perfectly fine. We're going to write our equation, x plus 100 is equal to 180. We combine like terms to get 2x plus 100 is equal to 180. Subtract 100 from both sides, and finally divide by 2 to get x is equal to 40. So these are level 2 type of questions, just finding a missing angle in a triangle. Let's try some that are a little bit harder. Triangle RST is a right triangle. Angle R is a right angle, and angle S is 58 degrees. Find the measure of angle T. If you want, you can draw a picture for this, and it will make it easier to visualize. But I know that all three angles have to add up to 180, so I'm going to have x, which is standing for angle T, because I don't know that, plus 90, which is angle R, plus 58, which is angle S, and they all have to equal 180. We combine like terms and subtract 148 from both sides to get x is equal to 32. The next one, triangle ABC is a right triangle, angle A is a right angle. Again, if you wish, you can draw a picture to make this easier to visualize. This time we're just trying to find the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C. So we set up an equation, angle A is 90, plus the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C is 180. We subtract 90 from both sides to get the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C is equal to 90. The third one, we now have one picture where we have to solve for all three angles. So we're going to start with angle X. Angle X is in a triangle with these two angles, so we're going to set up an equation to find X. We combine like terms and subtract 104 from both sides to get that X is equal to 76. So I'm going to label that in my picture. Now, how can I find angle Y? Well, this 76 and angle Y form a straight line, so I know that they are equal to 180. You cannot forget everything we've learned in geometry. You will continue to use everything we've learned to this point. So since they're supplementary, we have 76 plus y is equal to 180. We subtract 76 from both sides to get y is equal to 104. Put that in my picture, and then now I can see how to solve for z. I'm going to set up another equation to solve for z. Z plus 21 plus 104 is equal to 180. I combine like terms and subtract 125 from both sides to get that z is equal to 55. Alright, so these are going to be a little bit harder because you are going to have to remember everything we've learned in geometry. So, we need to find x in this picture. We have two triangles in this picture, but neither triangle has all three angles labeled. The bottom triangle only has one angle missing, so let's see if we can figure out what this angle is. One thing I noticed about this picture is that it has parallel lines. So last chapter we just learned about all of our parallel line theorems. Up here I have angle x. Does this angle and this angle have a relationship using our parallel line theorems? Well, if you look, this line right here is a transversal, which would make this angle and this angle alternate interior angles, which are congruent. So we could label this angle as angle x. Now I have three different measures, and I can set up an equation to solve for x. So I have x plus 3x plus 90 is equal to 180. I combine like terms, subtract 90 from each side, and divide by 4 to get x is equal to 22.5. Do not think you did something wrong just because you got a decimal point. Decimal points happen all the time. Next problem. So I'm trying to find angles x and y. Well, up here I have a smaller triangle, and I can solve for x in this smaller triangle. I'm going to set up an equation: x plus 50 plus 90 is equal to 180. I know this angle is 90 because it's labeled as a right angle. I solve this equation to find that x is equal to 40. Now I have a bigger triangle, and it only has two of the angles labeled. This one's missing, and there's really no equation that I can set up to find out what y is. So that means I'm going to have to use something else to find y. Well, I noticed that there are parallel lines in this picture, right here and right here, and I can use corresponding angles to say that angle y is going to be 40 degrees. Next picture. I can easily solve for x within this triangle by setting up an equation and finding that x is equal to 140. Now, what's the relationship between x and y? These are vertical angles, so I can find that y is also 140 degrees. And then our final one. We have all three angles labeled with an expression. We just need to set up an equation to solve for x. So we add up all three of those and set it equal to 180. We combine like terms, add 5 to both sides, and divide by 5 to get x is equal to 37. I want you to pause the video and try these three on your own. I'm going to put up the answers in just a second. The first one, you set up an equation to solve for x, and you should get that x is equal to 80. The next one, you might have wanted to draw a picture, but you would set up an equation to solve for x, and you would get that x is equal to 20. The next one, you would set up an equation to solve for x. If this angle is 90 degrees, then the angle next to it has to be 90 degrees since they're supplementary, right here. So I would find that x is equal to 20. I could find angle y because these two angles are complementary because they form a right angle. You would get that y is equal to 20. And then you could use the 20 and the 90 degree angle to get that z is equal to 70. In this picture, I want you to find the measure of angle 3. The measure of angle 3 is going to be 57 degrees. To find this, you would first have to find the measure of angle 1, then use that to find the measure of angle 2, which you could then use to find the measure of angle 3. Alright, next new concept. Exterior angles and remote interior angles have a relationship. So an exterior angle is going to be an angle on the outside of a triangle that is formed by extending one side of the triangle. The remote interior angles are going to be the inside angles that are across from that exterior angle. So I'm going to name an exterior angle, and then we're going to name the remote interior angles for that angle. So angle 4 is an exterior angles, and angles 2 and 3 are going to be the remote interior angles because they're across from that outside angle. Angle 5 is right here. So the remote interior angles are going to be 1 and 2. Angle 7 is right here. So the remote interior angles are going to be 1 and 2 again. And angle 8 is over here. So angles 1 and 3 are going to be the remote interior angles. The exterior angle theorem states the measure of each exterior angle of a triangle equals the sum of its two remote interior angles. So the measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3. We're going to use this to find each missing angle measure. So to find the exterior angle, you add up the two remote interior angles, which means that x would have to be equal to 124. Now we're finding an interior angle. We're still going to set up the same equation. The exterior angle 168 is equal to the two interior angles. So we would solve for that to get that x is equal to 48. Now we're finding x, w, x, y, and z. So w is an interior angle, and we can find that by using our interior angle sum. So we have w plus 60 plus 64 is equal to 180. We would find that w is 56. I can find what angle x is, since this is an exterior angle, by adding up the interior angles to get x is 124. I can find angle y by doing the same thing, adding up the interior angles to get that y is 124. And I can find angle z by adding up its interior angles, which would be 60 and 56, to get that z is 116. Alright, we are actually going to try this proof in class. So this is the end of your video, and I will see you in class.